Story 1. Am I the a-hole for giving my ex-wife a large amount of money I won, despite the anger of my girlfriend? I recently won an FU amount of money. I won't say exactly how much, but it's in the millions. It makes me feel funny even typing. It's enough to change the life of myself and my family. My ex-wife is the mother of my 2 kids. She's an amazing woman and good to the bone. We divorced 6 years ago because I had an affair with my current partner. I was in a low place in my life, and I effed up. She was an incredible pain, but like an effing saint, she allowed me to still see our kids who mean the world to me, allowed our divorce to be as pain-free as possible despite the fact that I know she was hurting. She still is close with my parents. She's respectful to me, although she refuses to talk to my girlfriend. She was actually the first person I phoned after my mom and pops found out I won the lottery. She was pleased with me and joked that I could take the kids on a world-round trip, and that was that. Nothing else. As soon as I won, I knew I wanted to give her a significant amount. I still love her. She's the mother of my babies, and I feel like this is, in some small way, I can show her that I'm not a complete F-up. She deserves to know that I care despite my mistakes. She also works a crappy job in the public library, which pays her peanuts. She would absolutely be able to pursue her hobbies this way. Give our kids a better life between us. I haven't discussed this with my ex yet, but I have with my parents who strongly agree and my lawyer who was very surprised but on board. Long story short, when I told my girlfriend, she was livid, screaming that I'm disrespecting her, accusing me of still being in love with my ex-wife. I'm not in love with her. We've both grown apart, but of course, I still love her for being an excellent co-parenting partner and mother to my kids. My girlfriend is threatening to break up with me, and I'm feeling incredibly relieved over the threats. I don't plan on changing my plans, but am I the a-hole? Nope, you're not the a-hole. I think that's pretty considerate, honestly. I'm on this guy's side. Like, A, you realize that you're co-parenting with her, even though you are now divorced and everything. Her well-being also affects the well-being of your kids, so I think that's fine. And hey, in a divorce, normally, you lose, half of what you got and stuff. So if you had won this money before the divorce, it would have gotten separated. Granted, that was 6 years ago. That doesn't carry on forever, but you're being good about this. She was a good person. You want to share it with her. I think that's fine. You want it. Spread the love. It's good for her. It's good for the kids. You're still on friendly terms. I think that's fine. And granted, I think you should care about, the opinions of your current girlfriend and stuff, but it also sounds like the fact that she's threatening to break up with you and you feel relieved about that maybe says something about that relationship and where you are with that. That might be a whole separate thing you need to figure out. But hey, you don't have to worry about a lot of other things in life anymore, so I guess you can worry about that now. Story 2. Give my kid your PS5 or you've ruined his Christmas. So the other day, I, 30 male, got lucky and managed to get a hold of a PS5, which is like gold dust in the UK at the moment. Work has been ridiculous this year and my PS4 broke a few months back, so I'm hyped for it, and some holiday downtime is an understatement. The console finally arrived the other day and was left with my neighbor. I knocked on the door, thanked them for taking the parcel, and exchanged some pleasantries. When she casually asked if it was anything nice, I told her it was a PS5. We had the usual small talk, and I went back inside thinking nothing of it. Later, we had a knock on the door from her husband, 38-ish. He said that his wife had mentioned I'd gotten a PS5 and they wanted one for their 7-year-old son. It was all his son wanted this year, and it's been a tough year for his son as he's not been able to see his friends much, so would I consider selling it to them for what I bought it for? I said I understood, but I really didn't want to sell it as I was looking forward to playing it. That's when things got a bit weird. He huffed a little and said Christmas should be about kids, and I should really consider how hard it's been for them, and offered me an extra £50. I said I wouldn't be selling it for any price. I wasn't looking to make money on it. I just really wanted to play it. He left, but said he hoped I'd reconsider as you and I are a bit old for video games anyway, and walked off. End of story, I thought. The next day he comes over again, this time with his son. He said his son really wanted to see the PS5 he had heard about. The boy then said to me that's what he really wanted for Christmas and hoped Santa would get him one. I replied that hopefully he would, but it's really busy for him this year, so he might have to wait a little longer for it, but I'm not sure. I'm sure he gets something nice instead. Another day passes and my fiancé said they had posted something weird on social media about, there's a neighborhood group, how they had thought 2020 would have made people less selfish and more giving, but they were disappointed in their neighborhood, which had forgotten community spirit, and how people should be more thoughtful towards the children in the street, given how much they'd all suffered this year. Off the back of it, my fiancé asked if I should sell them the console just to keep the peace. Later in the day, they came around again to tell me that I had promised their son he'd be getting a PS5 for Christmas, and now it would be ruined if he didn't get one. She said that I am an adult and should be thinking of kids at Christmas, not acting like one playing video games, and that I was being unbelievably selfish and cruel. He added that he didn't know how we would enjoy Christmas knowing we were horrible people that had ruined a 7-year-old's Christmas. Now, I've also heard from some people on the street that they've been talking crap about us to people, though most neighbors are just staying out of it, but we're definitely getting some daggers from the Mums Who Lunch crew. We live in a super nice neighborhood, but it's firmly middle class. Lots of private school kids called Haiti and Sebastian, etc. We're definitely the youngest on the street and the weird childless couple, which I don't think PS5 Gate is helping with. My fiancé just wants to sell it to them to end it, but I'm still trying to hold firm. Honestly, feel like I'm losing my mind at this point. So, no shame on them for initially asking you if you would be willing to sell it because their kid wanted one. That's fine. And then for even being like, oh, sure, I'll give you an extra 50 pounds. I think that's fine. We have not crossed a line yet. But then, to bring the child over and be like, he just wanted to see the PS5, which he wants ever so much. Tell them how much you want the PS5. Oh, yes, sir, please. If only I could see the PS5 but once, that would be ever so nice. I do so hope that Santa Claus brings me one, or I shall have my dreams and hopes crushed forever. Like, what's wrong with you? Don't do that. That's such gross guilt tripping. At that point, I would be walking by their place every day being like, I do so enjoy playing on my PS5. I've enjoyed playing on it every single night. Ha 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 ha. Yeesh. Story 3. Younger cousin and his entitled dad expect me to give him a brand new Apple laptop. Over the years, I noticed that the worst culprit for CB are usually family members, especially the random ones who sort of relate to you, but you know, deep down, you really don't know each other all that well. This incident actually occurred quite a long time ago, over 10 years ago, and I had almost forgotten about it until someone reminded me about it last weekend. Way back over 10 years ago, I just got a promotion to a new role and I bought some new tools, including a new Apple MacBook for work. I was living in London at the time and was in a small flat/apartment, which meant space was at a premium. So I decided that I should get rid of some stuff in the house. One of those was a PC that was a few years old at the time. Back then, my grandma used to call me up every few days just to chat about stuff. And I mentioned to her about the promotion and the new stuff I bought and the old stuff I'm giving away. And being an old lady whose hobby was basically phone calls to the family, she passed this news on to a few relatives. One of my aunts heard the news and told her younger kid. A few days later, my aunt and her kid called me up and said they'll take my computer. Great! Come over to my place and collect them. They drove over the next day and then turned into a long argument with me once they arrived. For some reason, probably due to the fact my grandma doesn't really know about computers and stuff, or my aunt misheard it or whatever, they thought they were picking up my brand new MacBook instead of the few-year-old desktop. My aunt, being an adult, at least understood it must be a miscommunication. My little cousin, though, was throwing a huge tantrum over it in my house. He kept going on about how crap the specs of the machine is, and how it would be useless to him. And bear in mind, he wasn't like an 8-year-old at the time. He was 13 years old. Still a kid, I know, but should be at an age in which he should understand that his distant cousin, me, is not going to randomly give him a brand new computer just for homework. My aunt was trying to get the computer out of my place, and I just wanted to get them and the computer out of my house, and my girlfriend just wanted all the crying, yep, 13-year-old boy crying was quite a scene, noises to stop so she could focus at her work. At the end, they just left, empty-handed of course, since the kid doesn't want the old PC and wasn't ready to give him my new one. I thought that was that. But then, later on that night, my uncle, my cousin's entitled dad, called me up and demanded an explanation of why I backed out on a deal, and that was not the way to treat the family, etc., etc. The phone call ended up with me hanging up on him, which led to a lecture from my grandma the next day over the phone and took me an hour to explain what happened. and that led to a lecture from her to my uncle, which led to more phone calls and arguments. My uncle complained that now his son has no computer to use, and I told him he can still pick up my computer, which was still sitting in my house at the time. I didn't get an answer until 2 days later, and he sent me a list of things he wants me to upgrade to the computer that I'm planning to give away with my own money. Obviously, I just ignored them at the time. And good job, my family always has a lot of drama, probably stirred up by my very bored grandma, come to think of it. So very soon, everyone was on to the new storyline to follow. And what happened to the computer? I ended up giving it to a neighbor on the same floor of whom I've talked to a few times. They were in a less fortunate position than us, and their 2 teenage children at the time used to use the computer at school and library for their homework. Once my girlfriend found out about that, it was a natural place to send my computer to. At first, they refused it because they couldn't give me money for it, but we're not looking to take any money anyway because A, it wasn't worth all that much anyway, and B, it was much easier to bring the damn thing just across a few doors than anywhere else. They were our neighbors for a few more years before I moved away from the block. I didn't even think much of what happened until recently when I was contacted by the older one of the 2 children. Apparently, he had just graduated from university and just started a job. We talked about a few things, and he thanked me again for giving him the computer all those years ago. Apparently, it's still being used by their parents at their home. It's funny how things can turn out sometimes. Pretty sure my cousin has still not forgiving me for not giving him a MacBook, though. Okay, first off, what teenage child is going to throw a fit because you're offering to give them a couple-year-old PC desktop instead of some dumb MacBook? Like, you're gonna get way more gaming out of the PC, kid. Come on, you're 13. Isn't that what you're all about? Stick with the PC. You're just fine. And even if you really did want the MacBook, I don't know, because you're a really hipstery 13-year-old, it's fine if you like MacBooks. I have my preferences. You have yours. We're fine. But even if you did really want that, are you still gonna turn your nose up at a free desktop computer that you could gradually upgrade and make better over time? Like, if I was a 13-year-old and you offered me like a clunky old piece of junk and I otherwise had no computer, I'd be like, hooray! It would be like you were giving me water after I'd wandered in the desert for years. Thank you for this wonderful sip. Ah, quit complaining. Now you get nothing. Story 4. Mother-in-law tried to make us jealous but ended up getting jealous herself. I was going to post this on Just No Mother-in-Law, but feel like it fits better here. Mother-in-law's always been bitter that I took her son away from her. She's the queen of negging, and I'm often her #1 target. She loves to make me jealous, sends pictures of her new cars, sends pictures of her new house, sends pictures of her designer handbags, etc., saying, "Isn't it great I can afford all this?" Mother-in-law didn't invite us on vacation last summer. She invited and paid for her other son and his girlfriend and the girlfriend's sister to go. She bought them designer souvenirs and sent us pictures every day of their vacation captioned, "I bet you're so jealous." Not 3 months after she excluded us from her vacation, my parents invited us on their vacation. We accepted. Mother-in-law was furious. Jealousy is not a good look on her. She threw a tantrum saying that she was losing her little boy and that she wanted to be the best mom in the world. She was so jealous that my mother is getting more attention than her. She cried about how she never sees us and how we've always shown blatant favoritism towards my parents. The best bits of all this, it was at this moment significant other decided to tell her that we're moving 5 hours away to my parents' city. It's almost as if her being this jealous, petty person has driven you both away from her and not had the effect of making you all be like, "Wow, look how much stuff she has that she's always rubbing in our face. Let's be closer with her." No, it's like she pushed you away, and so you went away, because who wants to be around a person like that? People who get so weird about their kids dating someone, and it's like, "You're taking my baby away." Isn't that what you want? Like, you raised a child to become an adult, and adults get to be, not with you. That's kind of the goal. Your job isn't to raise a child who will stay your sweet little child forever and always. Yes, yes, drink, Charlie. Stay with mommy forever. Never go away. What is this mindset? Just let them go and they will come back to you and be friends and want to be with you. Okay? Maybe. I don't know. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.